Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the CIL Formula College Championship. My name is Matthew Nordberg. You're joining me here from the fabulous Spa Francochamps circuit here in Belgium. We're in for a fantastic race here tonight on this Halloween evening. Glad you could join us for this fantastic race tonight. We're looking at a wonderful race here, 65 degrees Fahrenheit with 61% humidity in the air. Mostly clear around the skies today with 12-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to be a little breezy for these drivers out here today. Track length will be the longest on the schedule this year at 4.3 miles long. Current track temp sitting at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. This legendary circuit de Spa Francochamps is home of multiple legendary corners. You can't say that about many places. Most places they might have one or two good corners, but you could say every corner around this circuit is iconic. Jumping into qualifying now for this fabulous CIL race tonight. For those of you who are new to the CIL, we do have open qualifying, so all our drivers are out on the track at the same time as we speak right now. Currently, we're about 2 minutes into this qualifying session right now. As we start to get some looks at our drivers right now, as they come around to finish their out lap. It is a long lap around here at Spa. This is Zachary DeWale right now. We're going to be riding on board with for his first lap. We'll see what he can do, what kind of benchmark time Zachary DeWale can set. He's been a front runner in the CIL this year in both Oval and Road Series, GT3 and Formula C. He has a bit of drafting help him. His St. Clair College teammate up in front of him. You see Zachary DeWale with that black nose heading through Eau Rouge now, followed by Radion. He's going to get an incredible slipstream down this long Kimmel straight, and that's really going to help his lap time here, as we see a couple cars in front of him as well trying to use that draft to their benefit right now. As you see, he's using his teammate here to a little bit of an advantage. He's going to be taking a bit of a disadvantaged line into, I guess, can't remember the name of those, Lacombe, that's right, off the top of my head. But he's got it down there through those corners very well. You might notice that blue halo with the CIL logo on it, just for those of you who are new to the CIL. We do have both students and alumni racing in this series. Students are denoted with the blue halo and markings on their wings, and alumni will be marked with the red halo and markings on their rear and front wings. You see a spin behind. This is the St. Clair College car I was giving him the draft earlier. I believe it was the 07 of Louis Diaz. Maybe it wasn't a St. Clair College teammate, but we saw him spin, and we also saw DeWale go off the track and poo on there. That's going to invalidate his lap time. He's going to have to back off and prepare his tires for another lap. As you look further throughout the field, you see R. Muhammad Alif from Ball State University coming through poo on now, keeping it on the black stuff. He has a bit of a train form behind him, getting the benefit of that draft, which is so important here at Spa. All these super long straightaways, you see him really send it through the corners here as they come down to the third sector now. R. Muhammad Alif looks like he has a good control of his car right now. Fixed setups for the CIL Formula C series. Good job by R. Muhammad Alif getting through these last couple of corners in the middle sector, and he's really putting the power down to power through this final third sector with really only 3 corners. You have Blanchimont, which is coming up here momentarily, which is pretty much flat in these cars. These iRacing Formula IR04 cars, modeled off the Formula 4 cars of real life. Through Blanchimont now, he keeps it there nicely as we see our first lap times come in. Austin DeLong with a 23.2. That's the benchmark time for all our drivers here tonight, as R. Muhammad Alif comes through the bus stop chicane now. As 2 drivers behind him kind of tussle for position. He's going to come out of that corner very nicely. R. Muhammad Alif, a front runner in the CIL Formula C series this year, comes across the line now. He sets a great lap time of a 2:21.829. That's going to be a very tough lap time to beat as we look at a couple other drivers going through. We have Austin DeLong in the 22 out of Pennsylvania College of Technology getting the benefit of that draft. He set the first lap time of this session, so he's going to want to try to improve upon that and maybe put himself further up the field. Looks like more lap times are coming in. We see Andrew Williams in second place, a second behind our leader. We see Victor Roland. He's new to the CIL this season. This is his first race, I believe. He's also out of St. Clair College, sitting in 4th. Joshua Teagues in 5th. We just saw Parker Eaton out of the North Carolina State University team put in a good lap time, only a couple tenths behind R. Muhammad Alif. He still follow along with Austin DeLong as he goes through. He's come up with a no-name now. I believe that was Bruxelles he just came out of, as he prepares himself for the fast left-hander of Pouan momentarily. Going through Puan now, Austin DeLong. There's a bit of a good lap coming together here. Currently sitting in 4th position. You know, I did mention earlier that we did have 2 classes in the CiL Formula C Series. You had the student class noted by the blue decals and on the green marks on your timing tower to the left side of your screen. Alumni in the red marks on the timing towers. DeLong goes a little bit wide there. I think that's going to invalidate his lap. We see other cars coming through. Trying to set good lap times right now. Through the middle sector, we have Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington. He won, I believe, one of our races 2 weeks ago at Lime Rock Park in the New England Grand Prix, as well as finishing runner-up in another race that day, I believe. We do run 2 races here in the CiL for those of you who are new. First race will be set by this qualifying order that we are hammering out right now, 12-minute session to set your best lap time. Then you're going to have a 20-minute sprint race. After that 20-minute sprint race, you're going to have a bit of a break between race 1 and race 2. You see Chris Preston set a good lap time of a 22 flat almost, just a couple hundreds quicker than Parker Eaton behind him. And Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College doing a great job to set a good lap time there as Nicholas Daly comes through the middle, or the last sector now in the bus stop chicane. He's going to try to put his car up towards the front of the pack right now, but I think his lap time got deleted if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to double check. Yeah, came across the line. No update on the timing tower for Nicholas Daly. And it's so important to get your laps in at this circuit because the lap is so long. Really, you don't have much time to make up for a mistake if you do make one. So it's really important to get that banker lap in now, but plenty of time to make up positions in the race with this long Kimmel straight that we're about to see Nicholas Daly get to after he navigates the complex challenge of Eau Rouge followed by Radion. I think these cars, it might be a bit easier. It's probably completely flat without much worry, but the faster you get, the more difficult it gets. But, you know, as I was saying, you know, all these cars, there's lots of positions that you can make up in this race because of how long this Kimmel straight is. Tons of opportunity for drafting it, and you can't really get away from the cars behind you unless you have a fantastic middle sector. As we travel throughout the rest of the field right now, Victor Roldan in his first CiL race out of St. Clair College, rocking the 1-2 machine for the students. He's coming down the Kimmel straight now. We'll ride along board with him as he comes down into Lacombe. See how late you can get on the brakes. Braking a little bit past the end or the start of that white and red curve. He comes through the combs. It's okay. It's not the tidiest of corners as he gets on the gas coming down towards Bruxelles. I think this is probably one of the hardest corners on the track. It kind of slopes away from you, so you're off camber the entire corner, and you really have to get that car rotated. And it can be very, very tricky depending on how you drive the car as he rides the curb through No Name there on the exit. He's getting ready to take us through Puan. This is the fastest corner on the track. We'll see if he lifts here momentarily. He does lift a little bit into the corner. Not quite as much downforce as Formula 3, Formula 2, and Formula 1 cars, of course, but these lower powered, lower downforce Formula 4 cars are so much fun to drive. I think it really provides the opportunities for drivers to showcase their racecraft, and I think we've seen plenty of great racing this year in the CiL so far, and we hope to see some more tonight at this wonderful Spa Francochamps circuit. Elsewhere through the field, we just had Zach Lindler set his lap time, a 22.749. That's going to put him up into the 4th position right now, as well as Victor Roldan. We still ride aboard with him. Zachary DeWale, he was able to get a lap time in of a 225.5, and Nick Stockter behind him say 226.035. As Jordan Johnson sets a lap time only 200 slower than our Muhammad Ali. Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University, another one of our drivers challenging for the season-long championship here in the CiL Formula C Series. See Daniel Hunter set his first lap of the session with a 22.284. We'll see if we can get some qualifying times at the bottom of your screen now. We see a couple of guys on quick laps here. Chris Preston, Louis Diaz, Christian Hill, both setting personal best in the first sector. Joshua Teague's not personal best in the first, but in that second sector, he was able to set a good lap time. But right now, we're riding on board with Jordan Johnson. He just set a lap time that is second quickest, but our Muhammad Ali did just set a even faster lap time. He set a 221.72. That's going to put him a couple more hundreds clear of Jordan Johnson. It's the current gap at 1.32 seconds. It might not be enough time for our Muhammad Ali to set another lap time, but you see a couple drivers heading to the pits. Parker Eaton, Nicholas Stockner, Ethan Head, all in the pits now, and I think their qualifying session is done for the most part. It's Jordan Johnson. Oh, we see a spin in the back there of Bruxelles. I can't quite tell who that was. But Christian Hill on a very good lap so far, setting 3 personal bests. Joshua Teagues, you mentioned him earlier. He set a personal best second and third sector. Couldn't improve in the fourth, but Christian Hill, 3 green lights in a row there. We'll see if he can continue to improve upon that as he gets through the lap, and he does. That's a fourth sector personal best for Christian Hill. Jordan Johnson coming through the chicane in the middle sector now. Right behind him, that's Nicholas Daly at UT Arlington. We were on board with him earlier, and Jordan Johnson gets a little wide, and he dips a tire into the gravel. That's going to be the end of his lap and the end of his qualifying session, as we see Nick Daly continue to go on after that incident. Nick Daly has yet to set a lap time. I don't think he's going to get back to the line in time in order to set that personal best lap time, so he's going to be starting from the back most likely due to not having a qualifying time set. But the clock ticks down, qualifying is over, and it looks like Chris Preston at the death. He was able to set a personal best lap time, and Chris Preston, in the last millisecond of qualifying, was able to set the pole position time. That was a great job from him. We're going to get a look at our starting grid now for the European Grand Prix, race 1 of the CiL Formula C Series. Chris Preston sets a last-second lap time of a 21.645 to win your pole position for race 1 of the night, and to his outside, Muhammad Leaf will line up in the second position. And third, Jordan Johnson at Kent State University lost his last lap due to going off the track. And Parker Eaton from NC State, our highest place alumni out of NC State, said that multiple times, but he's in fourth. Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College will be your fifth position runner, and Andrew Williams out of Clemson runs sixth. Zach Lindler out of Lennar-Ryan University will be seventh, and Austin DeLong out of Pennsylvania College of Technology in eighth. Victor Roldan in his first race for St. Clair College will be 10th, and Louis Diaz in ninth. Tyler Stone and Christian Hill round out your top 12. Round out the back of the grid, Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista University in 13th. Zachary DeWale in 14th, and Nick Stockner in 15th. Ethan Head is 16th. Nicholas Daly from UT Arlington did not set a lap time in 17th. Athena Leclerc in 18th, and Kyle Wood from Ball State University 19th, and then Carl Limkol also did not set a lap time. He's in 21st. As we get ready to go green here for the CiL Formula C Series, race 1 of the evening here from Spa Francochamps. Drivers lining up on the grid now, getting ready to take their spots. It's going to be a great jump off the line here, hopefully, for some of these drivers. There's about 30 seconds to go till the lights start to turn on. Get a good look at all our drivers here on the grid. It's going to be very tricky getting into the first corner, La Source. A very tight hairpin, and that's going to provide drivers a lot of challenges. And we're going to see who can get on the brakes the latest and who can avoid contact with cars around them as we slowly get ready to tick down to our lights out moment. Starting procedure about to begin here momentarily. We got Barney the Flagman on the right-hand side of your screen. Get ready for the green flag as the drivers rev their engines to get ready to go here in the CiL Formula C Series from the European Grand Prix at Spa Francochamps. Drivers revving their engine, getting ready to go green now. Good start from Chris Preston on the outside, and Muhammad Leaf gets a good start as well. Behind them, Jordan Johnson tucks in behind. He wants to get the slipstream going to the outside. Jordan Johnson, he's not going to be able to get a position there as Muhammad Leaf defends the inside. Your pole position winner, Chris Preston, leads the pack away from La Source right now. It looks like we have a little bit of argy-bargy in the back of the field, but through Eau Rouge they go now. Muhammad Leaf on the outside in that white-red car, that blue and white car, that's going to be Jordan Johnson as they go single file through Eau Rouge now, down through the long back stretch of the Kimmel Straight, and Chris Preston under a little bit of pressure from Muhammad Leaf, and they're going 2x2 right now, through the 3 wide through the Kimmel Straight now as they move their way towards Lacombe. 3 wide, you got Parker Eaton on the outside trying to tuck up under Muhammad Leaf, but it looks like Jordan Johnson's going to be taking the lead down towards Lacombe right now, and Jordan Johnson slides to the outside, gets past Chris Preston, but Muhammad Leaf still has that inside line. Chris Preston able to use the outside line and take that first position, but Muhammad Leaf fights back from the inside line. They're going to go side by side in Bruxelles. Side by side they go into Bruxelles. Muhammad Leaf with the inside line. He locks up a little bit. Jordan Johnson's going to try to cut back underneath them. Great move from Jordan Johnson on the brakes right there, but through no name, Muhammad Leaf is going to have the inside line again. Jordan Johnson, that blue and white 4 machine, he sends it really wide through the corner, and it looks like he might hold on to the position, but no, Muhammad Leaf and Jordan Johnson are still going side by side through Pouan. These cars are going at it like it's the last lap of this race. Through Pouan they go, still side by side. Jordan Johnson on your left, Muhammad Leaf on the right. Through this middle sector chicane, Jordan Johnson with the inside line, but it's so tricky to stay side by side through this middle sector, and they still are able to do it. We saw Jordan Johnson have a moment here in qualifying, and behind him, that's Chris Preston. He wants a bit of this action as Jordan Johnson and Muhammad Leaf have been side by side nearly this entire lap, and it looks like Muhammad Leaf is able to pull out in front of Jordan Johnson there. That's a fantastic fight for the lead at the start of this race, and Muhammad Leaf from Ball State University is going to take the lead on lap 1. Behind the lead, Chris Preston and Jordan Johnson are fighting it out for second place, but through Blanchimont they go now, side by side. They're going to try to make it another path into the bus stop chicane here, Jordan Johnson. He wants to get that first position at the end of the first lap, and it looks like he's going to have the position. Jordan Johnson not quite able to get the move done on the inside of the first corner of the bus stop. The second corner, he can't quite get it done either. He's going to be to the outside of R. Muhammad Ali. This has been a fantastic battle at the front. You could throw the top 4, top 5 cars even under a blanket as Jordan Johnson on the inside of R. Muhammad Ali going into lap 1. Alif leads that first lap, but Jordan Johnson's going to try to take position here into La Source. R. Muhammad Ali goes a little bit wide as they go down towards Eau Rouge. 2 by 2 by 2 throughout the field at Spa Francochamps in race 1 of the CiL Formula C Series here. Jordan Johnson's going to tuck in behind the Leaf through Eau Rouge and Radion. This long Kimmel straight, though, is going to give him the opportunity to draft up underneath R. Muhammad Ali and get a good slipstream down to the first corner, but Alif's going to defend that front line, or that inside line, excuse me, as it looks like that Chris Preston on the outside. He's going to try to overtake 2 cars here as Parker Eaton and Daniel Hunter go side by side behind them. Chris Preston using that outside line to his advantage. He's going to get 1. He's going to get 2 cars here potentially. R. Muhammad Ali able to defend that second overtake, but Chris Preston, he's going to like where he's at right now as they go through Lacombe now down to Bruxelles on the outside. That's Chris Preston. On the inside, that's R. Muhammad Ali. Preston has a wide entry into the corner. He might be ahead by the time they get to No Name, and he will be. Chris Preston retakes the lead of this race after losing it off the start from pole position. They file in one by one now through Pouan. R. Muhammad Ali is going to look a little bit to the inside there. Can't quite get the move done into the corner, but that's not really a great overtaking place. It looks like Chris Preston goes a little bit wide, and R. Muhammad Ali is going to stick a nose in there. He's going to try to go around the outside of Preston through the next sector of corners, through the chicane in the middle sector. But I don't think he can quite get there. But R. Muhammad Ali has been absolutely mega through this middle sector so far this race. Looks like Chris Preston is just going to hold him off, though. It looks like Jordan Johnson wants to get a little bit of a nose inside of R. Muhammad Ali, but he can't quite get there. Chris Preston leading through this back sector now down toward Blanchimont. Down they go side by side. R. Muhammad Ali is going to have the inside corner for Blanchimont at the front right now, but Chris Preston is going to have the inside line for the bus stop. But R. Muhammad Ali gets the move done into the bus, or in Blanchimont, excuse me, and Chris Preston's going to fight again around the outside of the bus stop. 3 wide behind him. That's Daniel Hunter on the outside. Parker Eaton on the inside with Jordan Johnson, the meat in that sandwich. Chris Preston does a good job of holding the lead through the outside of the corner. Chris Preston's going to lead the second lap, but R. Muhammad Ali, Jordan Johnson, Parker Eaton, and Daniel Hunter all want a piece of this battle as R. Muhammad Ali looks to the inside, and Jordan Johnson tries to follow him, but Chris Preston from the outside does a great job, but he goes a little bit wide. He's going to lose a lot of speed down the Kimmel straight from that one. He's also going to get a little bit of an off track, most likely, as Jordan Johnson and R. Muhammad Ali go side by side down towards Eau Rouge. We saw contact between these two drivers in multiple races in the CiL this season, but they keep it clean through Eau Rouge. Jordan Johnson has a little bit of a gap in front of him now. I think that's going to give him a massive slipstream as Daniel Hunter pulls out. He wants a bit of action here. He wants to go side by side with Parker Eaton, and they go 2 by 2 down the Kimmel straight. That's Chris Preston on the outside of the front. It looks like R. Muhammad Ali is going to stick it down the middle. It's 3 wide going down into Lacombe. Jordan Johnson on the inside, R. Muhammad Ali in the middle. And that's Chris Preston on the outside in the red and black car. Parker Eaton gets the move done on Daniel Hunter in the back in that red and black cookout machine from NC State University. Jordan Johnson, though, he's going to take the lead from Chris Preston and R. Muhammad Ali. He gets the move done from third to first in a couple of corners through Lacombe. Absolutely fantastic racing here at the front. 6 minutes gone of this 20-minute sprint race here in the CiL Formula C Series. Jordan Johnson from Kent State University leads the pack right now, followed by R. Muhammad Ali and Chris Preston behind, but these guys have been swapping position back and forth all race, so there's definitely plenty of action to come here, and I don't expect Jordan Johnson to hold on to that position for very long. This fight is heating up throughout the field right now, but further back to the field, Zachary DeWale, we saw him have a poor qualifying earlier. He's currently up 6 positions into 7th. Another couple of big movers, Kyle Wood from 18th to 13th, as well as Athena Leclerc from 17th to 14th. Those are really your big movers of the race so far. But at the front, it looks like Chris Preston wants to make a move on R. Muhammad Ali, because he's going to be in the inside of Blanchimont coming up this fast left-hander. It's very tricky to go side by side through here, but Chris Preston on the inside, R. Muhammad Ali on the outside. Behind him, Parker Eaton. He's going to try to push almost R. Muhammad Ali to hold on to his position as Chris Preston now looks down the outside of our leader, Jordan Johnson. He can't quite get there. He's going to stick a nose into the inside of the second corner of the bus stop, and he's going to have a nose alongside as they move down towards La Source to complete lap 3 of this race as Jordan Johnson continues to lead. But behind him, a big pack of cars. Louis Diaz, Daniel Hunter, Parker Eaton, R. Muhammad Ali, all sniffing the lead right now, but still about 13, 14 minutes to go in this race as Daniel Hunter is a little bit wide there, but right underneath the rear wing of our leader, Jordan Johnson. That's Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College. He's going to want to put a move into possibly a Rouge and Ratty on here, but he thinks better of it. But he's really pushing Jordan Johnson here. He pulls out now, but he's going to lose that slipstream all the way down the front stretches. R. Muhammad Ali is thinking, let's go 3 wide. Maybe not. As R. Muhammad Ali pushes Jordan Johnson down this long Kimmel straight right now. Parker Eaton behind. He's getting a little look, but they're going to go maybe 3 wide, but R. Muhammad thinks better of it. And they're going to go side by side. R. Muhammad Alif in the white and red car, black and red car of Chris Preston from Fanshawe. And Alif is going to get that second position from Preston. As he cuts across the inside of the track, he looks like he might try to make a move on Jordan Johnson, but I think he's really just defending that second position from Preston. I think Daniel Hunter was in a bit of an incident there potentially. I think he might have lost a lot of ground in the back of this pack. But because of just how this track is configured, it looks like R. Muhammad Leaf is going to go on the inside of Jordan Johnson through Pouan. That's a very risky move, but he looks like he's going to try to stick it side by side on the exit of the corner here. He might have the momentum to pull out in front before the start of the chicane in the middle sector, but he can't quite get there as Parker Eaton is making a move on Chris Preston now, the inside of him. Those 2 red and black cars fighting side by side as R. Muhammad Leaf is able to get the lead out of the middle chicane in the middle sector from Jordan Johnson, and this has been some absolutely fantastic racing right now. I can't even catch my breath with how much I got to commentate all of this, but it's fantastic to see all this fantastic racing. Very respectful so far, excuse me. As Chris Preston and Parker Eaton continue to go side by side down through Blanchimont now. Looks like Louis Diaz is tucked up under the rear wing of Chris Preston to try to get that draft and maybe make a move on Parker Eaton as well, as they continue to race side by side here. Looks like Parker Eaton is going to be sitting it up he's around the outside right now. It looks like Jordan Johnson locks up into the bus stop. He's forcing R. Muhammad Leaf to go a little bit wide, and there's a stack up behind. That's going to cost them a little bit of time right there, but Parker Eaton and Chris Preston right now are side by side coming out of the bus stop, and Louis Diaz in that bright pink car rounding up the top 5 right now. It looks like Parker Eaton wants to make a move on Jordan Johnson here for the second position. He can't quite get it done in La Source. He's going to have to tuck up underneath that rear wing of Jordan Johnson and maybe think about a move down into Lacombe as we see a pack of 3 cars behind them, maybe trying to stay in line almost NASCAR style and catch back up to this lead pack. Chris Preston pulled out from behind Parker Eaton, but he doesn't have enough overspeed to overtake down the straight right now. It looks like Jordan Johnson is also thinking about making a move on R. Muhammad Alif here as they come down the Kimmel straight. They go side by side, hundreds separating the two as Jordan Johnson steams around the outside of R. Muhammad Alif into Lacombe, and he gets the move done. Behind him, it looks like Chris Preston was able to get past R. Muhammad Alif as well. So that leading that pack down the Kimmel straight into Lacombe is really a recipe for losing not only maybe 1 spot, but 2 spots as well, as now R. Muhammad Alif under pressure from Parker Eaton as well as Louis Diaz behind him. As I catch my breath there for the first time this race, the cars streak down Pouan, nose to tail, line astern right now. It looks like things have calmed down maybe a little bit about halfway through this race, a bit more of a gap between these cars than we've seen before, but once those long straightaways come up, the drafting, it's almost Talladega-esque, Daytona-esque. You see a NASCAR nose to tail. You really want that draft to help you down the straightaways because, that coming to the white flag, coming to the last lap, that's going to be so important to maybe being not necessarily in the lead, but second, third. You're really going to have that overspeed to make the move into the corner as Jordan Johnson gets a little bit wide there. He's going to come under pressure from Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College. The 2 cars going side by side, the 27 and the 4 through Blanchimont now. Looks like R. Muhammad Leaf is getting a little sniff in there as well as the red car outside is Chris Preston. Jordan Johnson, the blue and white car, on the outside of this corner coming up, and R. Muhammad Leaf has nowhere to go as Parker Eaton to the outside of the Leaf. And it looks like he's going to be super late on the brakes, but can't quite get there as Jordan Johnson is able to hold on to the lead for now. But for how long is Chris Preston. Parker Eaton moves up into third and fourth as there's a bit of a spin behind that. Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington with the spin in the background. That blue and orange car as Parker Eaton and R. Muhammad Ali are side by side through La Source. Parker Eaton going a bit wide in that black and red cookout machine from NC State. As it looks like side by side at the front, Chris Preston, Jordan Johnson going through Eau Rouge now. Preston with the inside or outside line. He can't quite make the overtake in Eau Rouge or Radion. He's going to tuck up behind the nose of Jordan Johnson and hope for a fantastic slipstream here. But we've seen in the past that third place car really has the best opportunity to make a move from second and into first as they go side by side down the Kimball Straight. 3 wide. That's R. Muhammad on the outside, Jordan Johnson on the inside, and then in the middle of that sandwich is Chris Preston as R. Muhammad Ali is going to try to steam around the outside. They still go 3 wide through Lacombe, and they get it sorted out. It looks like a little bit of contact between Louis Diaz and Jordan Johnson there. Jordan Johnson flipping end over end into the barrier. That is super unfortunate for Jordan Johnson there. As we see, I think he towed it to the pits, but Louis Diaz, he might have damage to his car as Jordan Johnson just gets sent into the outside barriers. And at the front of the field is Chris Preston right now still leading, but we'll get a replay of that momentarily. But it looks like R. Muhammad Ali is sniffing a move here. He smells it coming on Chris Preston. We'll see if we can get a replay of that while they're in the middle sector right now. But Jordan Johnson in that blue and white car on the inside right now. It's 3 wide into Lacombe. It's just super unfortunate. And then the pink car just gets a little bit wide, and he just, hits the car in just the wrong way to completely send Jordan Johnson end over end, barrel rolling like it's like Nico Hulkenberg at Yas Marina a few years ago when he was hanging there like a cow. But back to the live action right now. Looks like Chris Preston and R. Muhammad Ali still battling it out. Parker Eaton tucked up under the rear wing of Louis Diaz now. I think that's going to definitely impact this fight at the front because you have less cars to draft off of. And I think that overspeed coming down the Kimmel Straight into Lacombe is going to be a bit weaker than it was before, as Parker Eaton really pushing Louis Diaz along here. I think Louis Diaz might have some potential damage from that contact with Jordan Johnson, so it might have slowed him down. But on the outside in the bus stop chicane, Parker Eaton can't quite get the move done. Behind him, looks like side by side, that was Daniel Hunter and Zachary DeWale. DeWale now up 8 spots from the start of this race. Our biggest mover so far, second biggest mover, Athena Leclerc, also from St. Clair College, up 6 spots as Louis Diaz on the inside of Parker Eaton going into La Source. Looks like he'll hold on to that position if Parker Eaton can't quite get the over-under. But at the front of the field, Chris Preston from Fanshawe College still leads the field. Behind him are Muhammad Ali. And Louis Diaz in third right now in that bright pink car. And behind them, Zachary DeWale and Daniel Hunter are nose to tail going through Eau Rouge as well. At the front of the field, that's R. Muhammad Ali in the white and red car. The black and red car, Chris Preston. On the outside, down the Kimmel Straight. He kind of pulled out of the slipstream a bit earlier than I expected, but R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University is going to have that move done into the braking zone as Louis Diaz is able to defend from Parker Eaton for another lap here. As our new leader, R. Muhammad Ali, is able to regain the lead after having a momentous fight with Chris Preston, Louis Diaz, Parker Eaton, as well as Jordan Johnson, who's unfortunately out of this race with contact. As Parker Eaton sends one down the inside of Bruxelles right now. That's a great place to be. It's very difficult to make a move around the outside there, but if you can stick it around the outside, you'll have the inside corner, the inside lane down no name. It looks like there's a little bit of contact between them. Backs into the wall. Louis Diaz. Cars come by as Parker Eaton is able to get it straightened out, but Chris Preston at the front of the field still can't make a move. It looks like a couple of St. Clair cars, Zachary DeWille and Daniel Hunter, going side by side through Pouan now. Unfortunate contact between Diaz and Eaton. I couldn't quite tell if Eaton didn't give Louis Diaz any room or if Diaz went a little bit wide through no name, but Zachary DeWale on the O2 car is able to get past Chris Preston there, or excuse me, Daniel Hunter, as behind them, Nicholas Daly. We saw him have a little bit of a spin earlier. He's able to currently sit in the 5th position, and Parker Eaton is right behind them after getting into a little bit of contact with Louis Diaz. He didn't get any, he didn't hit the wall or anything, so he's still going. Louis Diaz, though, did hit the wall. I'm not sure if there was enough contact to give him any damage. We'll get a replay of the Louis Diaz incident with Parker Eaton now as they come through Bruxelles. Louis Diaz on the outside in that pink car, Parker Eaton in the black and red car through no name. Oh, we're going back to live because there must be some action happening at the front of the field as Daniel Hunter trying to overtake Zachary DeWale here, and it looks like he's going to be on the inside of the bus stop chicane, but breaks super early. That's going to allow Nicholas Daly to steam around the outside of him. Loses a spot there to Zachary DeWale as well as Nicholas Daly, and it looks like Art Muhammad Ali set the fastest lap of the race at the front of the field. He's going to start to pull away here momentarily as they still try to battle it out for this last podium position here. We'll see if we can head back to that Louis Diaz. We'll wait to get a replay of that after we see this action down the Kimmel Straight, because we know this is a fantastic opportunity to overtake cars. We'll see if Nicholas Daly can recover from an earlier spin out of the bus stop and make his way up into the third position. Out of Eau Rouge, out of Radion, down the Kimmel Straight. Nick Daly from UT Arlington in that blue and orange car to the outside of Zachary DeWale. He's going to try to get it done around the outside of Lake Home. Hard on the brakes. They're going to go side by side still. Looks like he can't quite get it done. DeWale tries to close the door. A little bit of contact between the two of them, but they continue to go on. But DeWale doing a good job, maybe a little bit aggressive with how much he squeezed Daly there, but that's not for me to decide. As they continue down towards Bruxelles, Parker Eaton wants to get a move done on Daniel Hunter behind them. Parker Eaton had a bit of contact with Louis Diaz this last lap by on this very corner. As only 2 minutes to go in this race. Next time the leaders head to the stripe, it'll be the last lap of this race. As Zach DeWale still tries to hold on to that last podium position here in race 1. But Nicholas Daly, Zachary DeWale, and Chris Preston have a little something to say about that, as they want that last podium. As it looks like Nick Daly pulls out, but he's pulling a little bit of a bluff on Zachary DeWale. And then coming out of this middle sector chicane now, DeWale still leads this pack from Daly, Hunter, and Eaton behind them in the 6th position right now. But this is very difficult to stay in position down here through Blanchimont. This long back stretch is going to give another opportunity to provide a massive draft to all 3 cars behind DeWale right now. DeWale able to hold the inside line through Blanchimont, but on his outside, that's going to be Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington. He might have the momentum coming out of the corner. He almost sticks a wheel in the grass there. Daly's going to have the inside line for the bus stop, and we saw him how deep he braked last time through the bus stop as our leaders cross the stripe now to take the last lap of this race. The white flag is out as Daly's on the inside of DeWale. DeWale is going to have the inside of the 2nd corner. It looks like Parker Eaton wants to make a move on Daly now. Looks like Parker Eaton got that move done on Daniel Hunter. He's going to eye up another move here as they go 2 by 2 down the front stretch. But Chris Preston at the front of the pack, he's only a couple tenths behind the leader now. Chris Preston tucked right up behind our Muhammad Alif through the out of La Source, coming through Eau Rouge now, coming through Radion. It's going to be very important for the winner of this race to make a move now, or potentially into the bus stop later. And it looks like our Muhammad Alif almost is giving that position up. He's not really putting up much of a fight right now. He's holding the inside line, but Preston is going to have a massive overspeed moment coming down into Lacombe now. But further back, looks like Parker Eaton, Nicholas Daly, and Daniel Hunter are still swapping positions as Chris Preston tries to make a move around the outside of our Muhammad Alif. He can't quite do it through Lacombe, but further back for that last podium position, they're 3 wide. Nick Daly on the inside, Parker Eaton in the middle, and Daniel Hunter on the outside. Late on the brakes, Daniel and Daly, and Parker Eaton really the loser in that situation. He was in the middle. He just wanted to bail out. No contact for me. No thank you. As still, Zachary DeWale sits in your last podium position right now as Daly tries to defend from Parker Eaton. 2 St. Clair College cars in front of them as Daly in 5th, Hunter in 4th, and DeWale in 3rd. It looks like Hunter's a little bit wide through No Name. He's going to have to get on the brakes really hard. That's going to really cost him. He drops from 4th all the way to 6th position. He loses 2 spots in that engagement there. Oh, excuse me, too exciting to breathe. As they go through Pouan now, DeWale must be feeling good about his chances now that he has a little bit of a gap, but Daly and Eaton both want these positions, racing for every point they can here in the CiL. For the back at the front of the field, it looks like our Muhammad Alif has pulled out a bit of a gap now to Chris Preston behind, but Chris Preston is going to have the slipstream coming down this last sector. We'll see if he can get there in time before the end of this race. He has 1 final lap to do it. This is the last lap of race 1. He's going to have to get the move done into the bus stop chicane. He's about 3/10 back now. We'll see what the slipstream can provide to Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College, but it looks like he might get there. He might have a chance. He's going to have to be late on the brakes as he pulls to the outside of our Muhammad Alif. He's going to try and maybe pull the cut back on him through the middle here. Our Muhammad Alif on the outside, Chris Preston on the inside. Chris Preston is able to get the move done in the final corner of the race, but our Muhammad Alif is steaming through to him. It's going to be a close one. Chris Preston able to pull out the race 1 victory by 0.03 of a second. Further back, Parker Eaton and Daniel Hunter are going side by side to the line now. Zachary DeWale, that's DeWale in 3rd, 0.08 of a second behind this Parker Eaton, Daniel Hunter 5th. Looks like Nick Daly had a bit of an incident, and he didn't cross the stripe with that pack we were following earlier. So we're going to get a replay of Nicholas Daly what happened to him. But at the front of the field, absolutely fantastic racing to round out your race one. We're going to get a replay of that here momentarily. We go Chris Preston coming now through, the last corner. We'll get another replay of that. I think we caught it up a little late. Here we go now. That's Chris Preston on the outside, Muhammad Alif on the inside through the bus stop. Chris Preston does a great job of really getting deep into the corner and getting the inside line through the last corner of the bus stop, and they have a drag race to the line, and really it's going to be Chris Preston who pulled out that victory by only a couple of 100 seconds, and we saw the same thing with Parker Eaton and Zachary DeWale. We'll get a replay of that whole shebang. This is Daniel Hunter here at the front. I want to see Parker Eaton and Zachary DeWale. Looks like Nick Daly. Oh, looks like Parker Eaton got into the back of Nick Daly and he hit the wall coming out of Blanchimont. But Zachary DeWale is still trying to defend Parker Eaton deep on the brakes into the bus stop. It looks like they're side by side going to the second corner, and it looks like Eaton is able to just get ahead, but that drive off the corner for Zachary DeWale will secure him that third spot for the first race of the evening. A little bit of a break now for our drivers to finish up and recover their thoughts, because I think that race was very draining for a lot of drivers. That was a very intense race. I think we still have a few drivers coming across the line now. Yeah, it looks like just a couple more. Just cars who had damage earlier on in the race or spun, but we have about 5-minute warm-up session in between race one and race two, just to let the drivers, recoup and kind of chill out for a couple minutes, because that was definitely a very eventful race. I think we'll take the moment to step aside for just a minute and let the viewers think about what just happened, because we saw some absolutely fantastic racing in that. Oh, we might actually be gridding up now. No, we're still doing the warm-up session. But we're going to go ahead and step aside for about a minute. We'll be right back momentarily for race two of the CiL Formula C series here from Spa Francochamps for the European Grand Prix. Welcome back to the Formula C, or the CiL Formula C series here from Spa Francochamps for the European Grand Prix. Once again, I'm Matthew Nordberg, your commentator and producer for tonight, for this wonderful event we have here on this great Halloween evening. It's a little stormy outside my abode. It's a little spooky, but the racing on track is not. It's exciting, it's thrilling, and it's eye-catching as drivers continue to warm up a little bit after that first race session. Here we see Jordan Johnson trying to get some laps, and we did see him at the front of the field, but succumbed to an unfortunate incident between him and Louis Diaz that sent him flipping, side over side, barrel rolling into the outside wall of Lake Home. I was trying to think of an analogy then. It was like doing a barrel roll from Star Fox in the N64. But definitely a very exciting first race here in the CiL Formula C series. For those of you who are new to the CiL Formula C series, we do have two races, and as the drivers warm up for their second race, they'll be thinking about their strategy for the second race, because we do have a top 10 invert for the second race. So the driver who finished in the first position from race one will be starting in 10th position for race two, and our 10th position finisher from race one is going to start from the pole position from race two. We'll see if we can show our race one finishers momentarily. Maybe we'll get them up, maybe we won't. There we go. looks like we're coming from fourth on down in this Heat 1 results right now. It looks like some of these aren't right because our Muhammad Ali definitely finished in the front. He finished second. I'm not quite sure what these results are. A little bit of technical difficulties on showing the results because I don't think this is definitely the results from the first race. But uh, for those of you who are just joining us now and did not see the first race, race 1 ended with Chris Preston making a last corner overtake on R. Muhammad Ali out of Ball State University. That's Chris Preston from Fanshawe College and R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University. Chris Preston making that last corner move in the bus stop and drag racing a Leaf to the line for that first and second position. Preston coming out on top in the end. He'll start 10th in race 2. R. Muhammad Ali will start 9th. Behind them for that last podium position, we saw a battle between Zachary DeWale, Parker Eaton, Nick Daly, and Daniel Hunter. Daniel Hunter, unfortunately, kind of fell off the back of those front three, those third, fourth, and fifth cars towards the end of that last lap. But we saw an incident between Parker Eaton getting into the back of Nicholas Daly out of Blanchimont, and that sent Daly into the wall, unable to complete the first race. Parker Eaton couldn't quite out-drag Zachary DeWale to the line in race 1. Zachary DeWale was able to hold on to that third position and finish on the last podium position for race 1. Parker Eaton following him up in fourth, and then behind them, Daniel Hunter in fifth, as we have a few cars on track right now, just trying to get one last lap in before race 2 starts right now as the session ends and the drivers begin to grid up here momentarily for race 2 of the evening here from the European Grand Prix. I see a few cars doing some practice starts as they now get ready to start this second race of the evening. Running through your grid for race 2 of this evening, Tyler Stone from St. Clair College is going to start in pole position. By luxury of finishing 10th in the first race, he'll start first in the second race. His St. Clair College teammate, Athena Leclerc, starts to his outside, and behind Athena, Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista in third, and the second row is rounded out by Austin DeLong from Pennsylvania College of Technology. Carl Lemkel, we saw him start in the back of the field for race 1 from St. Louis University, will be 5th, and Louis Diaz in 6th. Daniel Hunter from St. Clair in 7th, and Parker Eaton from NC State in 8th. Zachary DeWale in 9th. Chris Preston in 10th, and R. Muhammad Ali from Ball State University. It's a little weird. I think the grid is a little messed up, but R. Muhammad Ali should be starting in 9th. I think Zachary DeWale should be starting... Well, the grid don't lie. So... for this race, Zachary DeWale will be starting 9th, Chris Preston 10th, R. Muhammad Ali 11th, and Ethan Head 12th. Your 13th through 19th position will be not that. It will be the way it ended in the first race as they get ready to go green here for race 2 of the CiL Formula C Series. Green from the Spa Francochamps for the second race of the evening. Tyler Stone gets away well as Athena Leclerc rounds out the outside behind him on the inside. That's Joshua Teagues in that white and gold car, and behind them, Austin DeLong. A little bit of chaos behind it. Looks like a spin. That's a spin from Athena Leclerc coming out of Lacombe. It looks like Nicholas Daly hit her, and it looks like Nicholas Daly is going to be sustaining some significant damage. Athena Leclerc getting some damages as well. Chaotic start to race 2. As side by side, that's Austin DeLong in the blue and pink car. Behind him, Carl Lemkel and Parker Eaton go side by side through Radion and Eau Rouge. But at the front of the field, Tyler Stone, great jump. He's got a second gap on the rest of the field right now as chaos ensues behind him. Looks like 3 wide right now in the inside. That's Carl Lemkel, the 095. Oh, Austin DeLong is slow down Kimmel straight in there. 3 wide going into Lacombe. A little bit of contact there. That's R. Muhammad Ali, I believe, getting in the back of Parker Eaton, who gets into Carl Lemkel. Big contact for our drivers who finished in second place. And Tyler Stone spins coming out of Lacombe. He loses the lead position. He's in the outside wall, but at the front, Daniel Hunter, he finished 5th in race 1. He's now the leader in race 2 as they go side by side with Joshua Teagues. That's Zachary DeWale from St. Clair College as well. Unbelievable start here for race 2 of the CiL Formula C Series. We see that gold and white car in third position right now. 2 St. Clair College cars, that's a lot of C's in one sentence, leading the field. But big incident at the start of this race in Lacombe. Multiple cars including front runners at the front. Parker Eaton, Louis Diaz, Nick Daly, Tyler Stone, and Athena Leclerc were our front 2 drivers for the race. And now there's absolute carnage behind them as the drivers are now spread out now. I'm a little shell-shocked at what happened first race. It was so clean, and race 2 is just so chaotic, I can't get the words out of my mouth. We're going to get a replay of what happened into Lacombe now. That's 4 wide we see in this still frame here. That's on the outside. I believe that is Daniel Hunter. No, excuse me. I believe that's one of the St. Clair calls. It might be Victor Roland, but we're going to go slow motion here. We're going to see what happened. On the outside, that's Austin DeLong in the 22 blue and pink car. He must have had a slowdown. Outside now, that is going to be Carl Limco in the white and blue car in the middle. Parker Eaton on the outside. Actually, that's Zachary DeWale, and behind them, Muhammad Alif just gets into the back of Parker Eaton. That sends Eaton sideways into Carl Limco. And I think that just blocks the track as they pile in behind that blue and white car. That's Jordan Johnson. I think he gets through this mess clean. That orange and purple car is going to be Andrew Williams from Clemson University. But at the front of the field, also, Tyler Stone, he just goes a little bit wide, I think, into the corner. We're going to back it up. Yeah, I think he just gets onto the curb a little bit, pushes the car way out wide, gets it onto the grass, and he just loses it. And as a result, he's into the wall on the outside of Lacombe. That's our second position man to start this race. He took the lead after Athena Leclerc spun out of La Source. But further behind, cars just pile into Parker Eaton, who's already spinning through Lacombe. Not very many good angles of this, but St. Clair cars. I believe that's Louis Diaz involved. Austin DeLong is involved. That 37 machine of... We'll see who that is. That's the 37 machine of Zach Lindler. He's hurt at a Lenore Ryan College. Muhammad Alif, I think, is pulled into the pits now. And I think that's just so many of the front runners from the first race out of this race now. I think really we have Chris Preston, who might have had some damage or gotten slowed up. He's trying to make his way through the field now as he passes Kyle Wood from Ball State University to move himself up into 7th position. But Zachary DeWale up 11 spots into the lead of this race now from Daniel Hunter. I think he was able to catch up and pass Daniel Hunter. We'll get a replay of that in a moment. Let's see if we can find that. This was the move for the lead for the 2 St. Clair College teammates coming down the Kimmel Straight down towards Lacombe. On the outside, that's Zachary DeWale on the 02. 49, Daniel Hunter on the inside, and I think DeWale just laid on the brakes, using the momentum to carry the speed into the corner and gets the lead, or gets the move done for the lead in the CiL Race 2 here. Just absolute carnage in Lacombe, which is something that you don't expect in the Formula C series that often. You see Andrew Williams, I think he went a little bit wide. Might have some damage there. Yeah, it looks like he's got some damage there. That car will not turn, and you see the sparks flying off the side. So I think that might be Andrew Williams' night done. But we'll see if he can recover. Maybe he gets some repairs done in the pits. But at the front of the pack, your current lead drivers, Zachary DeWale and Daniel Hunter, we saw them battling it out for that last podium position in Race 1. They're going to battle it out for the win in Race 2 here tonight. We'll see if these St. Clair College cars, man, what a tongue twister, will play nice with each other. They are teammates. So maybe they're just going to say, hey, let's keep it in a line and try to pull away from cars like Jordan Johnson, who have incredible speed around this track, and not give him the advantage of us fighting for him to catch up and get the draft of us. Chris Preston just set the fastest lap of the race that last time by. Not official, though. I think he took an off track. But we have seen multiple cars pull into the pits after the first couple of laps or corners of chaos, as Zachary DeWale is under pressure now from Daniel Hunter, Hunter on the outside, DeWale on the inside. Hunter's going to get that move done before they even hit the braking zone, as DeWale slides back into second as Jordan Johnson about 2 seconds behind them, hoping they battle and let them kind of fall back into his grasp, as Chris Preston, our winner from Race 1, is trying to snake his way back to the field after getting caught up in that lap 1 incident. I don't even know which one he got caught up in. There were multiple incidents that got multiple. Zachary DeWale spins in Bruxelles, and Jordan Johnson almost hits him. He does a great job of avoiding the car in front of him, trying to sliding through the inside, sliding through the grass, but Zachary DeWale just pushing too hard through Bruxelles, loses the back end of the car, and he just spins right in front of Jordan Johnson. We'll get a quick replay of that. Coming down into Bruxelles, DeWale in second there. It looks like he gets a little deep, and he maybe touched the curb, and that might have upset his car. We'll have to get another replay of that here. Yeah, coming down behind his teammate, I think just being tucked up behind that rear wing it can be a little bit annoying because you want to get that clean air in front. It looks like maybe he didn't touch it. Maybe it wasn't the curb. Maybe he just put a little too much steering lock. But great job by Jordan Johnson avoiding that wreck. That would have been a race ender for both of them. But DeWale and Johnson continue on in second and third as Daniel Hunter now leaves the field. He's a couple seconds ahead of Jordan Johnson, but we'll see what kind of pace comes out of Jordan Johnson as Currently, that last lap by, he was about 7/10 slower than Hunter, but sitting about 2.5 seconds behind right now. Only 9 drivers are left in this race, which is absolutely incredible. Given how clean the first race was really at the front of the field, it looks like Christian Hill and Kyle Wood are scrapping it out for the last drivers on the lead lap. That's Kyle Wood on the inside in the red and white Ball State machine, Christian Hill on the outside in the orange and white machine. Christian Hill does a good job of getting momentum around the outside of the... Oh, Kyle Wood spins behind. That's going to cost him a lot of time, but he keeps it out of the wall, so that's going to allow him to catch back up to Christian Hill potentially. As another Chris in the field, Chris Preston, is slowly marching his way to the front. Chris Preston about to get in the draft of Joshua Teagues. He has been very fast, but that last lap by Daniel Hunter, 2:21.95 lap time. Jordan Johnson had a 2:22.27, but we did see Jordan Johnson have to take some evasive maneuvers to avoid the spinning teammate of Daniel Hunter, Zachary DeWale, in Bruxelles. So maybe not a super representative lap time, as really Chris Preston not quite as fast as the two front runners right now. It looks like Kyle Wood may have been involved in an incident again, as we saw him try to defend the position from Christian Hill, as Chris Preston makes a move, thinks of a move into Bruxelles. He's going to go around the outside here maybe, but he might just be setting himself up for a path. And the No Name, they did rename it recently, but can't quite remember what No Name became. So No Name still has No Name to me, as Chris Preston gets a good exit out of No Name, down towards Puan. Side by side, Joshua Teagues can't defend the position, and Chris Preston is going to move up one more spot into fourth. He's one position away from the podium tonight in race 2. Looks like further upfield, Jordan Johnson might have just gone off the track trying to chase down Daniel Hunter. He's gained a couple of tenths this lap by, but these laps are so long, it's going to be difficult for him to catch up. You know, it's always the conundrum. Would you rather have more laps to catch up and potentially, make a mistake trying to really push to the limit, or would you rather maybe go 95% instead of 100 and know you're not going to make a mistake and get those crucial points, because Jordan Johnson's championship rivals have fallen back. Nick Daly, he's up there in the championship standings. Muhammad Ali, he's in 11th. He's pitted. He had terminal damage and could not continue after getting in the back of Parker Eaton into Lacombe on lap 1. But Jordan Johnson that time by had a fastest lap of the race with a 2:21.69. So 7 tenths faster than Daniel Hunter in front of him. Jordan Johnson wants some points after getting wrecked out of race 1 due to an incident that wasn't 100% his fault. You could always argue one way or another. Oh, he should have left more room, But sometimes racing happens, and sometimes you're just not on sometimes you're on the short end of the stick in racing, and sometimes you get a little bit lucky. And Jordan Johnson, maybe a little bit lucky with a lot of his title contenders crashing out of race 2 here. He's a little bit of tire dipping there, but probably just unaware of how far he was on the left side of the track, as Jordan Johnson makes his way through Lacombe now as he chases down Daniel Hunter. He's caught up a couple tenths this lap now. We're going to see if we can pull up a little bit of a lap time history. Bottom of your screen now, Jordan Johnson. That last time by, he was about 7 tenths quicker than Daniel Hunter in front of him. Lap 1, Daniel Hunter had a massive lap time advantage. I think that's where a lot of this gap has come from now. But this is your closest battle on the track at the moment right now. Jordan Johnson from Kent State University chasing down Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College. Through the middle sector, Jordan Johnson trying to keep it on the track. Doing his best. He's closed the gap another tenth in that middle. A couple more tenths in the middle sector, I should say. But Jordan Johnson is really pushing the limit here. We've seen a couple of off tracks from him this lap by, I believe. I think maybe 2 or 3 potentially off tracks. Really trying to hustle that car to get to the lead from Daniel Hunter. But really, Jordan Johnson only got to get within 6-7 tenths of Daniel Hunter. And then that slipstream effect really kicks in. Into the bus stop they go. Great job on the brakes from Jordan Johnson. He closes another 10th just under braking through the bus stop. As he gets a little bit loose coming out of the bus stop, but he's only 1.2 seconds behind through the line this time by about 3/10 quicker than Daniel Hunter at the front. So he's gonna catch him at the rate that they're going right now. But Chris Preston behind also set a faster lap time than both of them. But he's a bit too far back to maybe really challenge for this lead. I think there's just too much chaos early on in the race, and that really hampered Chris Preston's progress, as he was our race 1 winner, started further back in the pack, and as a result, he got caught up in some of that mayhem in lap 1. Our Muhammad Alif, though, has come out of the pit lane. He has completed his repairs, so he's going to try to salvage what he can from this race. You definitely pick up 2 spots ahead of Andrew Williams and Ethan Head, who are both 1 lap down still. Not quite sure how many laps down our Muhammad Alif is. As Jordan Johnson now closes to within a second down the Kimmel Straight. But Daniel Hunter does a good job to pull that gap greater than a second through Lacombe. But Jordan Johnson, incredibly impressive through this middle sector so far tonight. You can really see how the gap has changed throughout this race right now, as he now closes to under 9/10 of a second going down to Pouan. 7 minutes remaining in this race. I think Jordan Johnson is going to have a couple opportunities at Daniel Hunter, but this track does a great job of promoting racing that kind of ebbs and flows. Drivers, you make one pass in one straightaway after, into the bus stop, but you're going to be passed again into Lacombe after the Kimmel Straight. It's so difficult to hold on to position here once you make the move, unless you have dominating speed, really, but we haven't seen anybody with dominating speed here tonight. As further back to the field, looks like Christian Hill and Nicholas Stockner, the 2 alumni remaining in this race who haven't crashed out, are going to be going side by side here momentarily, as the gap between them is about 9/10 of a second right now. But Jordan Johnson was in that slipstream range now. Look at that gap close, 7/10, almost down to 6/10 now through Blanchimont. Jordan Johnson has really caught up to the back of Daniel Hunter now. 4/10 is the gap between them. It looks like Christian Hill and Nicholas Stockner are going to go side by side down into the bus stop here. A couple of tenths separating the 2 of them as Jordan Johnson tries to hunt down Daniel Hunter. We'll see if this move gets done into the bus stop. We'll look back at our fight for the lead here. Looks like Christian Hill is going to sit behind. He's going to go around the outside and maybe pull the over-under through the bus stop here. He gets a great exit out of the bus stop into La Source. They go through the front stretch. Christian Hill from Mount St. Mary's University with that orange and white car, the orange and purple car belonging to Nick Stockner. But at the front of the field, Daniel Hunter is under pressure from Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University. Jordan Johnson is going to pull to the outside of Hunter, side by side down the Kimmel Straight. Jordan Johnson, after an unfortunate race one with contact ending his race at this very corner, he's going to pull into the lead of race 2 here in the CiL Formula C Series at Spa. Jordan Johnson doing a great job of navigating the chaos at the start, and he's now your leader here in race 2 of the European Grand Prix of the Formula C Series. He's pulled out a bit of a gap through this middle sector, but we want to pull back to the fight between the 2 alumni we saw between Christian Hill and Nicholas Stockner. 3/10 separate them, as Nicholas Stockner can't quite close up into Lacombe. It looks like Christian Hill was able to pull up a bit of a gap. He was able to make the move over Nicholas Stockner. I believe that was probably either into Eau Rouge or La Source. But at the front of the field, Jordan Johnson is going to be coming under some pressure here momentarily from Daniel Hunter. Daniel Hunter, he saw a lot of clean air in front of him for the first 13, 14 minutes of this race, but now he's going to deal with having a car in front of him now. It's going to be a bit of a change. How is his car going to drive in dirty air? He goes a little bit wide there into the dirt. That's going to cost him a ton of time down this back stretch, but that draft is really going to suck him right back up to that rear wing of Jordan Johnson. 4/10 the gap as they come down this back stretch now under the DHL sign. The gap is about 3/10 now through Blanchimont. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move unless he's really risky with it, but he's closed the gap to within 2/10 now at Blanchimont. Only a 1/10 coming to the bus stop. He might make a bit of a dive bomb. If not now, definitely later in this race and possibly into Lacombe the next time they go by. Jordan Johnson, a great job on the brakes. He pulled out of a bit of a gap there out of the bus stop. a little bit wide, but no harm, no foul. He sets the fastest lap of this race with a 2:21.1. Daniel Hunter with a lap time a whole second slower at a 2:22.1. Behind them, Zachary DeWale, Chris Preston just don't have the speed to compete, as Chris Preston has a 2:21.632, which might catch him to the back of Zachary DeWale by the end of this race, but that's being a bit optimistic as they go through Eau Rouge and Radillon now. Daniel Hunter right behind Jordan Johnson, trying to use that slipstream to the best of his effect as they come down this long front straightaway. Probably one of the longest straights on the calendar for the CiL this year. He weaves, he bobs, he sticks his nose right into the slipstream of Jordan Johnson, but that straightaway just ain't straight enough as they get down to Lake Home, and Daniel Hunter is still in second position. Probably about 2 laps to go, including this lap. So the next time they cross the stripe, that is going to be the final lap of this race. As Daniel Hunter closes up to within a couple tenths coming into Bruxelles here. He's not going to be able to make a move because it's a very difficult spot to make a move if you're not alongside already. No dive bombs into this corner, please. But Jordan Johnson just trying to focus on what is in front of him, the road in front of him, and trying to not put a foot wrong here, as it looks like Nicholas Stockner and Christian Hill are going side by side in Lake Home. Christian Hill on the outside, Nicholas Stockner on the inside in that orange and purple Clemson machine. He'll get the move done up into 6th position again after getting overtaken by Christian Hill earlier in this race. That's currently a very intriguing battle for those two alumni. No difference in scoring between alumni and students tonight because Formula C Series, not a big difference, or not a large alumni participation rate, but still every point matters as Christian Hill looks to be making a move around the outside of Nicholas Stockner into Pouan. That's going to be a tough one to pull off as Christian Hill can't quite get there. And it looks like maybe Nicholas Stockner went a little bit wide into the corner, and it looks like he's going to have to defend on the exit from Christian Hill here. Christian Hill is going to pull to the inside. Can he be later on the brakes than Nicholas Stockner? No, he can't. Stockner holds on to the position through the middle sector chicane. Side by side they go, though. Christian Hill is going to try to make a move down the inside before they enter this last final long straightaway here. But at the front of your field, Daniel Hunter still not close enough to make a move on Jordan Johnson as they come across the line now to begin the final lap of the CiL Formula C Series race here at Spa Francochamps. Jordan Johnson in front, behind them Daniel Hunter, and that looks to be Austin DeLong. He's currently 2 laps down, or 1 lap down now. He's going to tuck up behind these 2 cars, and he's going to just let them battle it out. He's going to want to watch this fight as they go down towards Eau Rouge now. It looks like behind them, Christian Hill and Nicholas Stockner are going side by side into the bus stop. Christian Hill around the outside is going to get the move done under braking. Fantastic move from him. But up at the front of the field, Daniel Hunter is going to be weaving. He's going to be bobbing. And, Jordan Johnson doesn't want to let him have that slipstream as Daniel Hunter 2 tenths. Now the gap, 1.5 tenths. 1/10 as Daniel Hunter is going to pull around the outside here momentarily to make the move for the lead here in the final race of the CiL Formula C Series races. Jordan Johnson, great job on the brakes there to really defend that position, but Daniel Hunter is harassing the back of that blue and white Formula 4 car. This is not going to be a battle that ends before the finish line, as it looks like Chris Preston has also pulled up to the back of Zachary DeWale. There's about a 5/10 gap there as they probably enter Lake Home now, and Nick Stockner wants to get that position back on Christian Hill. So 3 separate battles occurring throughout the field as Jordan Johnson goes a little bit wide into No Name as they enter Pouan now for the final time in this race too. And it looks like Nicholas Stockner has gotten past Christian Hill, but Daniel Hunter, can he get past Jordan Johnson in this final lap of the European Grand Prix for the Formula C Series? Through this middle sector, Jordan Johnson has had a very good car, but Daniel Hunter thinks that he has a better car. He's going to try to really ride that curb through the chicane. He does a good job of staying tucked up underneath Jordan Johnson's rear wing as Chris Preston now is in a 1/10.5, 2 tenths of Zachary DeWale for that last podium position. Looks like Jordan Johnson's going to have one more chance to defend this lead here. Daniel Hunter, one more chance to overtake as they come down this final backstretch for the final time tonight. 3.5 tenths the gap right now for Daniel Hunter. Is he going to send a move into the bus stop? 3 tenths the gap as they enter Blanchimont momentarily. Behind them, Chris Preston is side by side with Zachary DeWale almost, but this battle for the lead is going to be the one who decides what happens at the end of the race here. Daniel Hunter, he's going to go side by side. He's going to want to go to the inside, go to the outside as Jordan Johnson defends the best he can. That blue and white car from Kid State. There's contact between the 2 cars, but it looks like Jordan Johnson is able to keep it under control, and Jordan Johnson is going to come across the line now. He's going to win race 2 of the CiL Formula C Series here at Spa for the 3rd place, the last podium position, side by side. Chris Preston and Zachary DeWale. Chris Preston, he's going to out-drag Zachary DeWale to the line. Chris Preston, 2 drag races tonight, 2 winning drag races, I should say, as he finishes 200th of a second in front of Zachary DeWale. Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College doing a great job there. Great recovery drive after getting caught up in some of the mess earlier on. But Jordan Johnson, your winner here in the CIL Formula C race at Spa Francochamps for race 2. Further throughout the field, Zachary DeWale finishes 4th. 5th, Joshua Teagues. He comes across the line with Christian Hill just in front. It looks like Nick Stockton might have had an incident with Christian Hills. It looks like Nick Stockton is now under pressure from Kyle Wood, but Nick Stockton holds on to that 7th position. 8th is going to be Kyle Wood. 9th, Austin DeLong. He'll finish 1 lap down, and you're rounding out your top 10. Muhammad Ali. He was your race 1 runner up, but he got caught up in an unfortunate accident at Lake Home in the first lap of race 2. Put him 2 laps down, but still recovers to 10th position after so many cars were caught up in the chaos of race 2. That'll be some decent points to his championship rival, Jordan Johnson. Well then, absolutely incredible racing. We're going to see if we can get our top 3 finishers into the booth here momentarily, but I'm out of breath. My throat is dry, my eyesight is fading. Absolutely incredible racing there at the finish. Chris Preston and Zachary DeWale going side by side. I want to see a replay of that fight because I think they went side by side multiple times pretty much throughout that last sector. At Zachary DeWale in the St. Clair car on the inside. On the outside he's on the outside, and Chris Preston on the inside in that black and red car. They get through the bus stop, and Chris Preston is drifting through the corner, and then through the second corner, it's going to be Zachary DeWale drifting, and on the outside, you're just going to get that drive through the bus stop chicane, and Chris Preston prevails there. He had 2 drag races tonight to the finish line, and he prevailed in both, so maybe he should learn to, there should be a drag racing service for him, as we're going to get a replay of the final corner for our 2 leaders. Let's see here. Coming through the last couple of corners in this CiL Formula C race from Spa Francochamps, Jordan Johnson doing everything he can, everything in his power to defend that first position on the last lap of the race. Second position is sometimes where you want to be in these types of races where the drag is so powerful, the slipstream is so important. Daniel Hunter really wanted to get it done. He couldn't quite get it there in the end. They had a little bit of contact coming to the bus stop. This will be a great camera angle to see what happened as it looks like he got a little bit loose, and then under braking, Jordan Johnson was just squeezing a little bit. And I think Jordan Johnson is very lucky that he didn't get spun out there. Just a very minor contact. It almost helped Jordan Johnson into the corner, but Daniel Hunter finishing second, Jordan Johnson finishing first after very eventful first races for those 2 drivers. I think we are going to start our interviews now. We'll be pulling up our 3rd place finisher for the evening. Coming into the booth now, it's going to be Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College. Chris, we saw you have some fantastic action throughout the field tonight. Go ahead, walk us through what was happening in the field and kind of how you got through that race 2 chaos.
Yeah, race 2 was something else. I started off having to dodge someone at La Source and somehow get a 1.1 second
slowdown right off the bat by taking avoiding action. Had to let off before Eau Rouge, or else I know that slowdown's just going to climb and climb by Lake Home. Then I get to Lake Home just to find an absolute parking lot there. I literally come to a complete stop, reverse, and here I am on the podium at the end of this race. So I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that really led to that race 2 chaos for you is a fantastic race 1. And we saw you drag race, I believe it was Muhammad Ali to the line in race 1. What was going through your head as you were just trying to keep your foot to the floor there at the end of race 1?
Yeah, race 1 was honestly almost crazier. Jordan and Alif were going pretty hard the first couple laps, and I just knew something was going to happen. So I was just trying to stay P3, keep my car on the track, keep it in one piece because I knew something was going to happen. And then once I saw Jordan and I'm not sure who else behind me go off, I knew it was just between Alif and I, and we just kind of had to work together, and it was going to come down to the last lap. It's usually how it goes at Spa with these formula cars. It just always comes down to the last corner, but I had planned that one out in advance. I feel like I was faster around the outside of people and better on the brakes most of those 2 races, so I knew he was going to defend the inside, and I just had to really send it up the outside, and that's what I did. And I think we kept it clean through the chicane, and I beat him to the finish line.
Absolutely, Chris. I think you ran a fantastic race tonight. You had two drag races to the finish tonight, and both of them you came out on top. Congratulations once again for your race one victory as well as your race two podium. Before we send you on your way, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out tonight on the broadcast?
Of course, I got to thank my team, Team Watson Racing and Limo Boys Racing. My teammate Kylo was an excellent spotter for me tonight and was helping me out, letting me know where everyone was, what was going on, and what I had to do. I got to thank our sponsor, the Choco Farms, and you guys for this broadcast, and of course, all the admins for putting on this league.
Well, Chris, thank you once again, and congratulations on your victory in race one and podium in race two.
Thank you.
And that was Chris Preston out of Fanshawe College. Some absolutely fantastic racecraft from him tonight. Great recovery drive in race two. Great job racing to the victory in race one as well. Joining us now in the booth is going to be your race two runner up, Daniel Hunter. Daniel, we saw you try to pull off that move in the last corner of the second race. Go ahead, walk us through that. What were you thinking as you tried to hit the brakes as hard as you could there?
Yeah, I've been struggling with the brakes this whole race. These aren't my pedals that I use at all. They were very good for the race. Into that last corner, I was just going as deep as I possibly could. If I locked up and went off, that would have been so. But
Yeah, and
it
we
was
saw.
superior on the brakes.
Yeah, and we definitely saw we saw you on the brakes in the last corner of race two. But in race one, we saw you having a fantastic fight with, I believe, Parker Eaton, Zachary DeWale, and Nick Daly for the last couple podiums, or the last podium spot again in race one. We saw you kind of fall off the back there at the end of race one. Can you kind of talk us through what happened? You just getting off track or anything along those lines?
The beginning of the race was great. I was in the top six, I believe it was. Yeah, we were all a group out in front, and it was like a 5 or so second back or gap to the back there. On one of the laps, I went wide into turn one and got a half-second penalty, I believe it was. That dropped me back out of that front running group, and that's when the battles with all the guys you saw happened. And I actually got another half-second time penalty, avoiding a wreck on the bus stop chicane. So it sucked, but it is what it is.
Well, Daniel, I think you still ran a fantastic race in the end. Definitely a podium finish in race two is nothing to be ashamed of. Before we send you on your way, anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
My boy Zachary DeWale, me and him, we pushed out super far in the second race. It was looking good to be like a 1-2 podium, but unfortunately had that spin. And well, that did give me a good fight with Mr. Jordan there, so it's all good.
Well, Daniel, congratulations once again on your podium finish in race two, your second place finish. Absolutely fun to watch you race Jordan Johnson at the end there. Hope you take it easy tonight and have a good one.
You too, thank you.
Once again, that was Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College, rounding out your second position tonight in race two. But joining us now in the booth is going to be your race two winner, Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University. Jordan, congratulations on the race two victory. We saw you navigate your way through the chaos in Lacombe on lap one of race two. Go ahead, walk us through that. What were you thinking through Lacombe as maybe you had flashbacks to what happened in race one?
Well, race one was both filled with highs and lows. As you guys would have seen, we had probably 2 laps with just me alone where they're too wide for the full lap between me and our Muhammad Alif. I mean, a ton of respect for him for hanging it out there, and same for giving me the respect to be able to send it around the outside. Was super fun with that. I just want to make sure I credit that because I know we have come to blows before in the championship, but I mean credit where credit's due. That was absolutely amazing. But yeah, race two was terrifying. Starting P16, I knew I had to go on a charge and try to catch the back of Muhammad before he was able to get away. I mean, I knew if a gap came between the groups, it was going to be near impossible for me to get back up to them. There's no chance, especially with his pace. He would have pulled anyone that would have been within 3-4 tenths of a lap up and away from me. There would have been nothing I could do. That's just the draft in these cars. So I was pushing as hard as I could, saw a bit of smoke, and I would be lying if I said I didn't have a heart and mouth moment. I held my breath, and luckily the gap came to me. It opened up last second, and I barely was able to get the car slowed down enough to not destroy my front wing. And from there, I just knew I needed to kind of settle down. I saw with the three cars that were in front of me that I had the pace on them. I just needed to make use of the tools I had available to me and just carry on. I caught up to, I think it was Jacob pretty quickly. But from there, afterwards, we had the two St. Clair cars, and I was convinced that I was not going to be able to catch them with them tandem drafting. But I caught a bit of luck with Zach's spin. So it you get some and you lose some. I've definitely lost a few earlier in the season, so happy to have something come back my way a little bit. As much as unfortunate to see Zach spin with the pace that he had and the result he was on for, but it was still a very good race by the end.
Yeah, Jordan, you mentioned starting P16 for race two. It was definitely an unfortunate turn of events after having such great pace in race one. Was sitting there, kind of having those couple minutes after the incident in race one. Were you planning out, how am I going to approach race two? Do you have a game plan in mind, or was it just get up the field as fast as you could? Because we definitely saw a lot of incidents up the field, and I think some drivers kind of want to just hang back and let it all happen.
I mean, like I said, with the draft characteristics of this car and the track, I knew I had to get up there. My real only game plan was just to get to the back of the leaf as quick as I could. Um, and as soon as I saw that he was not in contention anymore, I knew from there I just needed to just settle in, just focus on myself. Those couple minutes I just spent trying to perfect my line, and they came to help me by the end of the race. As think I set some of the best laps I've ever set, not just in this car track combo, but in general. I mean, they felt completely flawless. I ran almost a 21 flat in clean air. So I'm very happy with my pace, and that proved itself in the race. Yeah, it was just send it, hope, and just hope it comes back to me. Fortunately, it did.
Well, Jordan, I think it definitely came back to you in race two there, and you had a fantastic charge through the field to win it. Anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast tonight before we send you on your way?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, my team, Pure Sims Esports, all the support they've given me throughout these few months, and of course, our sponsors and partners, SimLab, Cube Controls, SimSports, OBP Esports, Night Rider Design, and 3M. They've been a massive help to us, and we look forward to working.
Absolutely, Jordan. Once again, congratulations on your victory in race two, and we hope to see you again on the podium sometime soon.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University, our race two winner for this evening. Well, that about does it for our interviews for this evening in race two. Let's go ahead and get a look at our final results in race two this evening. Drum roll, and they actually pull up this time as Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University is our race two winner. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College rounds out second, only a couple tenths behind after a valiant effort in the last corner to take that victory away from Jordan Johnson. And Chris Preston rounds out your podium with a great move on Zachary DeWale into the bus stop to take the last podium position. DeWale had a good charge to the field in race one and a good effort in race two to stay out of trouble, but an unfortunate spin puts him in fourth spot. But behind him, Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista University, and then Christian Hill out of Mount St. Mary's rounds out sixth. Seventh, Nicholas Stockton from Clemson University, and Kyle Wood rounds out your lead lap finishers in eighth position out of Ball State University. A very, very chaotic race in race two. We saw an incident at La Source off the start with Athena Auclair. We saw other incidents at Lake Home that included drivers such as Parker Eaton, Carl Lemkel, and Nicholas Daly, R. Muhammad Ali. Those drivers all fighting for podium positions in race one out before the end of lap one in race two. So very, very unfortunate turn of events for those drivers this evening. But that's going to do it for us here at the CIL tonight for the Formula C series. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night as the CIL GT3 Challenge drivers take on the Circuit of the Americas with their 10 top cars. It's going to be a very exciting race through the Circuit of the Americas. It's the first time we're going to be there for the CIL, so don't miss that one. If you want more Formula C action, join us in 2 weeks' time as we take these fantastic Formula 4 cars up to New York and Watkins Glen International, as that's going to be a fantastic race at that iconic racetrack. What used to host the USGP now hosts iconic events such as NASCAR's Cup Series events, as well as the Watkins Glen 6 hours endurance race for IMSA. If you like oval racing, be sure to tune in next week, as on Monday, the CiL Prospect Series takes on Phoenix, followed by the CiL Premier Series taking on the same track on Tuesday, November 8th. But from everyone here at the CiL, myself, Matthew Norberg, all our admins, all of our racers, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight for this broadcast of the CiL Formula C European Grand Prix from Spa Francochamps. It was an absolutely exciting race, exhilarating race, and definitely a race drivers will be talking about for a while. But once again, thank you from everyone here at the CiL. We hope you tune into another race tomorrow, next week, anytime soon. So be sure to take care, and we'll see you next time.